Gita, one issue that keeps rising up, and you mentioned it, and I think that's the time I found that your grin was the widest. So why the grin, and what do you make of this crypto issue? Because I can't understand from where does value come, from where does value go? What is being traded? Who's losing? Who's winning? Because in a casino, at least there is one principle: the house always wins. In this case, what's the house?
This is, yes, so there is a whole, the technology that's underlying it, which has promise. I'm not best placed to explain what that promise is. Sometimes I've described the crypto assets as, so it's valued now at 2.5 trillion. So I sometimes say we have a $2.5 trillion solution for a problem that we haven't still identified. So there's large amount
whose
of
money
value.
is it? Where is it going? For money to grow, the money must make more money.
Oh, well, money can make more money in a bubble for some time, and also in the crypto space, there are many different kinds of crypto assets, right? I mean, so there's the Bitcoins, which I think of as purely speculative investment that you want to invest in. It's highly risky, but you may get a payoff from it from investing in that. But then there are stable coins which have much more stability in their value. People want to use it for payment systems and so on. I think the bottom line is we are of the view that this needs to be regulated without a doubt. You need to be very clear about the fact that if you're a financial institutions and you have exposure to any of these crypto assets, that you make sure that you have your capital buffers, just as you would if you were exposing yourself to very risky asset classes. We are opposed to cryptocurrencies being used as legal tender. I think that would be that.
Why do you say so?
Because it's, first of all, these cryptocurrencies don't serve the purpose of money, which is to have stability in value. They are also a big risk to the monetary system of the country if it's going to displace the actual kind of legal tender of the country. So we just don't see the need for that at all. And that's not something that we think is important.
So do you see crypto as a problem or an opportunity for global economy?
I think it's both. I think there is always the promise of a technology that we just don't know, that in a decentralized fashion, people might discover many different ways of using it. Distributed ledger technology is already being used in other kinds of service provision, so there's value to it. But we do worry that there are some serious risks associated with it. And the truth is that it's not anything a single country can deal with, because if individual countries regulating heavily or banning, which we do think that regulation is important, but at the same time, most of these crypto exchanges can be done offshore, and so they're not subject to the jurisdiction of a particular country. So it's hard to really regulate this.
But
this sector.
money still has to be transferred. For person A in India to buy a crypto, say in jurisdiction B, wherever, some money has to be transferred from this jurisdiction to another one, or the money has to be transferred back for you to.
Yes, but this is, as I understand it, there are many ways of doing this on the darknet, which evade the kind of typical regulatory systems that can.
And you'd worry about that.
And we worry about that, absolutely. I mean, particularly it's worrisome. In fact, we're seeing this phenomenon becoming a bigger problem in emerging and developing economies as compared to advanced economies, because in advanced economies, again, the attractiveness of crypto assets and cryptocurrencies is less so than in many emerging and developing economies.
Why do you say so? I'm just taking an extra minute because I'm very curious about this. Why is it so? Why is it seen as a more reliable option in emerging or poorer economies?
Where in countries where you have a much more population which has banking accounts, there's very high levels of financial inclusion. These kinds of assets are not necessarily particularly attractive because you already are in the financial system. But if you're in a country where you don't have access to banks and to loans and you're financially not included, then these kinds of technologies can start looking attractive.
So how are these different, say, from chit funds and Ponzi schemes, which basically target the poor and the lower middle classes, while the better off people have access to banks and more conventional?
No, this is absolutely one of the reasons why there needs to be regulation, because you are exposing gullible people to some very, it sounds like some magic money that you can get.
Exactly.
And, while again, if you look at the numbers, I wouldn't say that we have a problem right now in terms of global financial stability or anything like that. But the rate at which these assets have grown is quite troubling, and this can grow very, very quickly.
Do you see governments, sovereigns beginning to ban it now?
Well, China, of course, banned the Bitcoin. There are some countries, and I'm not going to be able to remember them, but they banned parts of it, which is that you cannot use it for certain kinds of payments and so on. But I would say the overwhelming approach is more on the regulatory front.
And so what will be your advice to India? Because we are still debating a bill.
Right. I mean, again, just in terms of the practicality of what one can accomplish, we think regulation is the way to go. Again, like you said, there is a potential underlying technology that is actually beneficial and can be beneficial in countries where there is low levels of financial inclusion. So there is that prospect. But the risks are high, and especially, again, in emerging and developing economies, there are capital controls. There are much more restrictions on what you can do.
Exactly.
So having these new kinds of assets, just introduces new ways of evading these kinds of controls. So we do think that regulation is very important.